Greetings, BArcadians, and welcome to another edition of the BA News Show with me, Tabs, and my co-host, Rich.
Hello!
Every Friday at 5 PM, so don't forget, make a note and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video to help to grow and support the channel too. We've got a bumper edition this week, plenty to get through, so excuse us if we're speeding through things and perhaps not casting so many opinions on this occasion. But we're going to talk about GTA6, some other rumours, building on what we've heard in recent weeks, ups and downs on that roller coaster. We're going to look at a couple of Best Buy leaks in terms of SKUs that have been put up on their stock holdings, which could point towards some upcoming releases. We are going to look at some hearsay that's come out about the PS5 potentially being better in some ways than the Xbox Series X, and another roller coaster of journey in terms of that being retracted later on. We're going to talk about Animal Crossing and how it's selling like hotcakes in this unique atmosphere we're all amongst at the moment. And then finally, we are going to talk about an Xbox Series S reveal that may be on the cards and what that might look like. So, to kick us off, Rich, let's dive first of all into GTA6. So I know we've said in recent weeks, haven't we, my friend? Do you want to just summarise some of what we've been hearing recently, and then I'll dive into what we know now?
Yes, so we heard a few weeks ago there was rumours that we were going to get a trailer. Well, that didn't appear. Nothing happened there. Then we spoke last week about the fact that Rockstar were looking to sort of change their culture of the crunch that they put onto their staff and developers. So there's a change there, and from that it came out that actually GTA 6 was in early development. Well, that story seems to have moved on a bit now, doesn't it, Tabs?
Yeah, so as you said there, Kotaku and Jason Schreier, that was he was behind that particular report. Some notable leakers, we've got Tez Funds 2 and Yan2295 are saying something a bit different though now. On Twitter, they're saying that it's actually likely to be in the early stages of testing as opposed to development, so maybe there was some sort of misunderstanding there. Tez Funds 2 is saying that it's halfway done, maybe even beyond that. And then further fuel to the fire, and this one is very much grain of salt territory. The casino update for, I think it was for GTA 5 earlier in the year, fans have spotted some clues that they think could point towards at least when we might hear something about GTA 6 next. So essentially, what have we got here? There's a corridor in Diamond Casino within the game, and on one side was Diamond with 510 underneath it, and on the other side of the corridor was Sir with Vice underneath it, so almost like service, I suppose, but a bit of a play on that. So essentially what they're saying is that perhaps, well, we've heard in previous rumours that Vice City is heavily rumoured to be the location of the next GTA game. So now it's got everybody wondering if GTA 6 will be set in Vice City, and then this number 510 perhaps signifies May the 10th as a potential reveal date, some sort of teaser trailer maybe, the next clue. And the real interesting thing that has actually added some credence to that is the fact that Rockstar, they've now announced that their parent company Take-Two will be holding an earnings call on May the 11th. So obviously the day after this potential reveal, which is pointed to by this casino update in GTA 5. Could all be grasping at straws, so really do take it with a pinch of salt. But this was reported in the Express, so there could be something to it. And certainly, Rich, I think we'd both like to see something from GTA 6 sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually a drop on May the 10th, which is what we're looking at now, sort of a couple of weeks away, something like that, just over 2 weeks away, would be a great time to drop it. We've heard there's been a real bumper since people have had to be, unfortunately, under this lockdown with what's going on in the world at the moment. There's bumper time in games, people downloading more games than ever and playing more games than ever. What better time than when everyone's interested in the gaming industry to drop a trailer about the next GTA. That was likely all to be just coincidence. That this May the 10th may have already been planned long ago. But yeah, I feel like this could be a very opportune time to drop a trailer, and especially as you know, as we've seen every time they've dropped a new trailer for the GTAs, it's caused their stock to massively increase. You know, in terms of you know, their Take-Two stock value, basically.
Yeah, so it's good timing, both business, you know, and in terms of for gamers everywhere. I mean, and let's just hope it is Vice City, because I adored GTA Vice City for the whole atmosphere it created in that game.
Yes, although you particularly enjoyed Vice City because of the era that it was set, though.
Yeah, this is true. I kind of like that retrospective sort of vision on society, and they've mentioned, haven't they, in recent years, that they're not too sure, they're uncertain of doing a contemporary setting in a new GTA game, just because, you know, they're unsure as to how that social commentary work, because it's a big thing for GTA, that whole humour that they like to inject into their games. Anyway, move us on, Rich. What have we got next? Best Buy.
Absolutely. So, you may have heard, I think was it last week or the previous week, we said that we'd heard rumours that there was some upcoming Mario games to celebrate, what is it, 35th anniversary, Tabs?
That's right, my friend.
Yeah, of basically Mario, and they thought there'd be possibly a lot of games coming. Well, a reliable leaker at Wario64 has advised that the listing is not activated, but there is a listing for Mario 3D World for the Switch through Best Buy, and the SKU, or the SKU of it, is number 6352130, and it has a price tag of $60 at the moment. You can take this as a grain of salt, like we did the one last week, but actually this comes on the back of the second highest rated Wii U game on Metacritic, behind only the godlike Breath of the Wild. And it's the second best selling game of the series, so behind only Mario Kart 8. So I would say there's a good chance that this would be coming. It will make a lot of sense within the industry. And I guess the only real surprise, and this comes to the Metro's commentary on it, that is that it hasn't been ported to the Switch already, given that we've had quite a few Wii U ports coming from this. So I think there's a good chance there could be some credence in this rumour.
Yeah, again, one of those games from the Wii or Wii U that they could potentially have just had on ice, ready to plug any gaps in their schedule, which it seems like they do have, at least until we hear anything around E3 time. And yeah, I mean, I'd absolutely welcome it. I know, I don't think I got to play that one. And, you know, I think it's not quite one of these massively open world sort of Mario games, a bit more contained, but still very highly rated, as you say. So yeah, let's cross our fingers on that one. And a bit on the back of that as well, Rich, there's another Best Buy listing, and again Nintendo related. Apparently Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch has reared its head again in some sort of stock listing, much in the same way as you point out with Super Mario 3D World. So obviously this was rumoured, was it last E3, Rich, I think, or last Nintendo Direct?
It feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Well, no, I think it was rumoured that it was going to come last Nintendo Direct, obviously never surfaced. But this seems to be much like the Pikmin rumour. It seems to be just constantly, you know, on the rumour mill, but never at the moment, nothing's coming into fruition. But hopefully this one is going to come to fruition. I
think the guesswork was that it was probably held back because obviously Metroid Prime 4 was delayed because of development hell. So that seems to make sense. This likely is going to be a direct port of the Wii U. The release for the Wii in 2009, by the way, and I think again was released on the Wii U eShop in 2015. That comes from Game Rant. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to play these ports. I don't mind that they're old games essentially re-galvanized for the Switch, but it will certainly plug some gaps in playtime while we wait for the next editions in the series. So yeah, what about you,
Absolutely.
Rich?
Yeah, definitely good games. The last one that I knew about, was it the GameCube one that was first person? Obviously, I think there's been one since then, I believe, hasn't there, Tabs?
For the GameCube game, yeah, there was Metroid Prime 1, 2 and 3 essentially. I played 1, a little bit of 2. I don't think I played the third. I really loved the first one. The second one was still great. But yeah, I definitely suggest anybody to get their hands on the first one if they can. I know it's a first-person shooter, Rich,
That's
but
what I was going to say, yeah.
I've just bought you some motion sickness wristbands, so
You have indeed.
got no excuses anywore now.
Yeah, if they work.
Well, they work for me in car sickness, so it's worth a crack.
Okay.
Anyway, Rich, you want to move us on to the next one, please?
Definitely. So, PS5 better than Xbox Series X. Interesting. So this comes from a rendering engineer at Crytek called Ali Salehi, you would say, Tabs?
I'd go for that, yeah. Good shout.
Yeah. And he originally came out and says that basically the PS5 is the easiest console that he has ever coded on to reach peak performance. And he goes on to say that the PS5 is extremely simple and has so many abilities that make the devs basically free to utilise its power and its peak performance.
Worth pointing out this was translated from Persian, which is probably why it leaves a bit to desired grammatically. But yeah, go on, Rich.
And then he concluded by saying that it's just all in all a better console. Now, the interesting thing about this is it was translated, as Tab said, from a different language by, I think, @Man4Dead. And the tweets were later deleted, and the interview...
Basically, this chap, I think, has come out and said it doesn't confirm the content of the interview anymore due to personal reasons. So essentially, this Salehi is no longer endorsing it. What do you think that points to, Rich? Do you think some political...
See, I think this is very, very strange. So he's come out and said quite a glowing comment about the PlayStation, and then, literally, from what I understand, literally like a few weeks later, he said, "Oh no, actually, no, I don't stand by that anymore." It strikes me that he's about a telling off by somebody, be that whoever, maybe the people he works for, maybe by Microsoft, or maybe by Sony, just to say, hang on a sec, you shouldn't have really said that. And then he's had to retract the statement and make up some reason why he's had to retract the statement.
I'm going to say, yeah, Crytek. I mean, it's not good for relations, is it, with Microsoft, if he's kind of endorsing the PS5
absolutely
in this way. So, yeah, I would go with that. So interesting. I mean, we have seen some other bits and pieces, haven't we, Rich, from other developers that sort of point towards the PS5 being better to develop for, and the excitement certainly bubbling around the throughput of the SSD in comparison with the Xbox.
I mean, it was interesting that that's the one thing that in Sony's press conference, sort of revealing the PlayStation 5's hardware, that was the one thing that they kept like circling back to, was all of the decisions that have been made have not been made for peak performance. They've been made for financial reasons, to make sure it's not ridiculously expensive, but actually also to make it the easiest console that they could possibly manufacture for people to develop for. Because obviously the easier it is to develop for, the less expensive it is to develop for, and the more people they can have developing for their system. So I think it stands to reason, but I think that we'll only see in the months to come whether there is actually some truth behind what this chap has said and then subsequently retracted.
At the end of the day, it's all about the games, isn't it? And certainly Sony's, as you pointed out there, Rich, kind of modus operandi to make it developer friendly would, lowers any barriers for entry into making good games for the PS5. So hopefully that translates, and for us gamers, we'll be rolling in it.
Absolutely. And then there was something else that came out by way of a deleted tweet by Guerrilla Games, and it was basically suggesting that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to be a PS5 exclusive. I mean, the tweet has subsequently been deleted, so we're not sure what that means.
Talk about chasing shadows in the games industry, Rich. All these deleted tweets, eh? Good grief.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, what's that all about? And then, Tabs, what's this next paragraph about? Is that the actual tweet?
Yeah, we're looking. It's basically they're advertising for a senior AI programmer, and they just put it out as a tweet. What was interesting was they hashtagged it PS5, which then pretty much confirms that it's going to be a PS5 exclusive. And
of course,
perhaps not the biggest news in the world, but interesting nonetheless. And the fact they deleted it seems to more or less let the cat out of the bag. That perhaps that is something Sony weren't ready for them to give the go-ahead on yet. So
Yeah, it seems that's a current theme running. You know, people are saying things, be it Twitter and interviews, and then, you know, having to go back to it and say, "Oh, actually, I didn't really mean that," or "Actually, I wasn't supposed to say that." It seems to be a running theme at the moment.
Bit of a boo-boo that though, because is it Herman Hulst? It was either former head of Guerrilla Games who then got promoted as Sony's, like, I can't remember what it is now, head of something or other globally. So yeah, it looks pretty bad, doesn't it, that his former company has kind of let the cat out of the bag on that. But you don't know with these things what quite happens behind the scenes. But anyway, that's nearly finish off. We've got a couple more bits to go. But the next one is Animal Crossing, which is apparently selling like hotcakes. So according to Video Game Chronicle, it's estimated to have sold 5 million copies digitally in March. And this was taken from Nielsen's Super Data, some sort of research firm, I understand. So yeah, I mean, just to give us some sort of comparison to that, that breaks the record for monthly digital game sales formerly held by Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And it's roughly level with the combined first month of digital sales of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Pokemon Sword and Shield combined.
Wow.
So, you know, this is relatively Animal Crossing. It's a popular game. It's certainly got its fan base out there. But I think when you compare it to some of the big hitters like Zelda and Mario, it's never been, you know, such a force to be reckoned with as it seemingly is now. I mean, you talked about it earlier, Rich. You think it's probably to do with the current way of life that we're all leading.
So don't get me wrong, Animal Crossing looks really cool, and Animal Crossing has, as Tabs has just mentioned, got quite a fan base. But I don't think this new game is necessarily bringing, like, in normal, basically people are looking for stuff to do at the moment. You know, we're all under a terrible scenario at the minute where we're confined to our houses or whatever, and we're having to, you know, find ways to occupy ourselves, maybe occupy our children who are off school. And Animal Crossing comes along. It's like the perfect thing that you can just very easily put some time into. It's quite a casual game. There's not too, you know,
a passive experience, I would say.
But it appeals to children, adults. It's definitely a multi-age game, and I think that's sort of dropped conveniently at a very ideal time for people to be able to get that digitally from home and just play away at it. So I think there's some circumstance in there, because I don't know whether, certainly from the reviews I've seen, whether it's been reviewed massively well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the sales continue, if it has much in the way of legacy sales, or if this is just a kind of a peak that will quite decrease rapidly. But certainly Nintendo's supporting it. I think they've just dropped a pretty major update for it, introducing quite a few new features. So yeah, certainly for a lot of the people who are buying it, they're going to have their work cut out for them. Is that
a paid update, Tabs, or?
No, it was a free update, and it added some pretty serious features, I think. New characters.
I was just going to say, if that's a paid update, like 3 weeks after release, that's shocking.
Oh, that would be harsh. Yeah, no.
That would be so bad. But obviously, that's the kind of thing we don't like in the games industry. This is a nice thing in the games industry where it's just an update, some new stuff for free of charge. So that's cool.
We're talking about Ninty, mate, not EA at this point in time. Although everybody's on the shit shoot on that one, aren't they? To try and monetize. Right then, Rich, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, so to round out this BA News show, we're going to talk Xbox Series S reveal. Yes, you heard that right. So obviously we know all about the Xbox Series X. Well, according to Microsoft news outlet Windows Central, we're due a big online launch in May. However, it's not going to be related to the Series X. Rather, it's going to be unveiling Project Lockhart, which some around the net are calling Xbox Series X. And this piece of news comes from T3. We're expecting Lockhart to be a 4 teraflop entry point to next generation, and it should effectively replace the Xbox One X. And the system is designed to be affordable, but will offer aspects of next generation currently unavailable to past generation consoles. Presumably we're talking, NVMe SSDs and maybe limited ray tracing. Now I have to say I'm very sceptical on whether you'll see ray tracing in a 4 teraflop machine, but we'll have to see whether that comes into life. But it sounds very, very cool. An entry level, which obviously means a much reduced cost. Basically next gen console. So I think that could be a very shrewd move by Microsoft.
I don't know how much credit we can put in Windows Central. I've not really heard of them myself, so just balance this piece of news with that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It certainly would cover all bases for Microsoft, undercut the PS5, no doubt. What I can't get my head around, though, is if it's a 4 teraflop console, and I know we shouldn't get too obsessed with the flops, but if it's a 4 teraflop console, why, and the Xbox One X currently is 6 point something teraflops, isn't it, Rich? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so this story makes no sense at all. And also, if the next generation console is, what is it, 12 teraflops, I think it is? Or is it 11 point something?
Yeah, I think it's 12. I think it's just over 12, isn't it?
So how are you going to play the same game on a 4 teraflop machine? Explain that to me. Unless it's literally a complete... What I'm saying is I don't see how you could buy a game, play it on a 12 teraflop machine, take the same game and play it on a 4 teraflop machine if it works in the same way that we understand console gaming to work. Now, I realise that is something that you can do. It's all the rage in the PC industry. You have a much better system, you upgrade all the graphic settings within your games, but that's not necessarily what we see in console games. So maybe
that kind of gulf, Rich, translates to a lot of pressure on developers to make sure all their games scale, which can also hold back, the kind of games that really make the most of, these wonder boxes we're going to see in the next generation. What I would say though, Rich, is there's a simple answer to this, isn't it? Is this going to be something that is mostly geared behind cloud gaming? Is it Project X Cloud? Is that Microsoft's competition to Google Stadia? So therefore, is this base box there perhaps to somehow work in synergy with cloud streaming?
I like that a lot.
So yeah, I think that's an easy answer to explain the way this 4 teraflop piece of information, other than the fact that it's just entire rubbish.
Or what are we looking at a system that basically people can't afford to go to next gen, so they go sort of next gen and a half. So they're obviously, as usual, when we have a next generation of consoles, the games are released on both platforms for a period of time. So, you'll have what we call cross-generation games. So, the early adoption games will be on both consoles. Well, is this going to be basically a fast Xbox One X that you can then have like faster loading times and stuff on, and you'll buy like the current generation game and play on it?
It could be. It could just be aimed at more of the casual crowd, or certainly, rather than go out and pay £500 for an Xbox Series X and then fork out more for games, maybe this is going to be, say, 200 quid, 250 quid for the main box, and then you sign up for a subscription with Project X Cloud, which is, such and such a month, and therefore it lowers the barrier to entry. Yes, it's going to be very much dependent on the the network speeds, your broadband at home, and how useful it is and how feature rich it is. But perhaps that's worth the trade-off in getting in there more quickly. Well, I mean, we don't know, all speculation, and we'll have to wait until May to see what actually it turns into. But interesting next gen chatter nonetheless. And
what a bumper week it's been for news tabs. It's been crazy this week. Just seems like everywhere you turn there's been a new interesting news item.
I mean, it's fully featured. We're absolutely stuffed. I mean, to round us off, Rich, it's been so bumper, we've forgotten what games we've been playing this week. So do you want to give us in, a hot 10 seconds what you've been playing? So
at this point, I'm absolutely addicted to God of War. I just can't stop playing it. It's honestly, in my mind, it's a masterpiece. It's such a good game to play. I love it. What about you, Tabs?
I've been enjoying watching you streaming too, mate. You're really coming along as well in terms of combat. So yeah, can't wait for you to finish the end game. In terms of what I've been playing, my friend, a little bit more Resident Evil 3 remake. Started my hardcore run, halfway through on that, and then I've literally just started The Witcher 3. I've gone back because it was a game I missed out on. Obviously, heard a lot of great things about it. I need to hit it. I can't kind of stomach it as a gamer without actually playing that game. So that's what I'm on with. Very early days, but enjoying it nonetheless. And I think that's probably everything we can cram in today, Rich. So let's wrap this one up. Thank you very much, BArcadians and viewers, for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and remember to like that video if you haven't already to support and grow the channel. And we'll see you on the next video. So yeah, another one for the archives.
Stamped and completed.